Okay. Interesting. I guess my session is probably going to be a summary because we've covered a lot of the technology and some of the changes that's happening in the industry with the last couple of speakers, which has been very interesting. I'm going to attempt to give you a quick overview on what the Industrial Internet of Things are. Let's try and do that in 7 minutes last week at the SACOM conference, which was very challenging. So I'll do my best. I want to talk to you about how that's going to impact on the way we work. And I'm going to try and give you a little bit of an overview on what that means for the future of jobs, trying to align that with today's session. So I'll do my best there as well. So like I said, we presented this last week at the SACOM event. It was very interesting that a lot of discussion was, that's all great, very interesting technology, but how quickly is this going to happen? How quickly is it going to impact our jobs, the mining operations and how we work? And, the wrong way around? No. Okay. So I just wanted to share this with you because I thought this was quite relevant. And I was talking to my son about this the other day, and he still remembers street directories. He's only 10, but I'm sure that's going to be a couple of years. He's going to forget all about that. But I was thinking about street directories, and we have a look now. It was a major revolution to get a mobile phone, to have Google Maps on the mobile phone. Today, you know, we've seen this huge shift with Google Maps. Google will now tell me how long it's going to take me to get home. It's going to tell me how long it takes to get to work. It's going to tell me there's a great new restaurant that's just opened on the way home. So what we're seeing there is a significant change in Google accessing my data, and we go back to some of the discussions about analytics. Google's analysing what I'm doing and turning that data into information for me. I'll show you how that's going to become relevant very soon. Our experts tell us that the Internet of Things, or the Industrial Internet of Things, is going to be the fourth industrial revolution. We hear other terms like Industry 4.0, which is talked about in Europe, but it means the same thing. It's the Industrial Internet of Things. So there's no doubt that this is going to be a huge magnitude, a huge rate of change in our businesses, our industries, the way we live. We're going to be seeing, the forecasts are 80 billion internet connected devices by 2024. Okay, that's just a massive change. Why is it important? Accenture tells us that we're looking at over $14 trillion in investment or return to the global economy by 2030. Now we're talking about a lot of money, a lot of opportunities for us in work and how we go about our businesses. We couple, when we couple the 80 billion devices connected to the internet, we couple that with the interaction of things to things and things to people, is what the Internet of Things is about. We get a really powerful model on how we can transform our businesses with this new digital revolution. So what's the Industrial Internet of Things? By definition, Honeywell, we call it a system of systems. It's a number of internet connected devices that we spoke about, communicating, coordinating their data and making decisions to improve performance. So combined with big data solutions, we get a deep insight into how we can solve some complex problems and talk about this predictive analytical data, for example, that we talked about. IPAC's already alluded to it, but you know, what we're talking about, I think we're going another step. So we're monitoring systems at the moment, but if you can imagine systems now on mine sites adjusting to their own health. They find a problem on their site, rather than destroying the machine to failure, they will ramp down, they will adjust their control algorithms until the repair can be made. So what we're talking about is smart devices, smart machines and self-learning devices. Industrial Internet of Things has been possible by some major changes or developments, I guess, in IT technology. What we're talking about is Changes to mobility. Obviously everybody's got a mobile phone now, but what we're seeing now is Honeywell's developing applications that sit on mobile phones. So today we've got an app that will connect to your site and will give you alarm information, and you can then make decisions on what you want to do with that alarm and action it. We're seeing the cloud. The cloud's a very important part of the industrial Internet of Things. We're seeing lots of businesses now listing on the stock market who purely provide cloud services with major service farms. That's come about because we're getting new technology and lowering cost in computing power, in equipment and hardware. And of course, big data analytics, again mentioned this morning, but what we're seeing is we're having more powerful computers and we're having more I guess, people who are understanding and more computing power to be able to analyse that data and make it meaningful. We're talking about billions and billions of points of data. How do we make some sense out of that? How do we get that, the real time, the right information to the right people in enterprises to make decisions? This is a bit of a look. So it's okay to talk about this technology, but I guess let's have a look at what it's going to look like. We have a lot of smart, intelligent devices down here. iPads obviously providing some of that technology. We bring together DCS, we bring together enterprise systems from the companies, and we consolidate that data up in the cloud. This also has another benefit. We find that a lot of enterprises, a lot of companies have information in silos across plants or enterprises. There's lots of IP, there's lots of smarts within companies that they don't normally have access to. So one of the benefits is bringing it up into this cloud. We then perform analytics, and this is not just on predictive maintenance, for example. We want to understand how we can improve production, how we can improve scheduling, delivery to customers, and so forth. And I guess the important part here is we see this. We see this a little bit differently. The important thing here with the cloud analytics is because of the megatrends that we heard about this morning. There's an ageing population. We're losing people out of the workforce. We're losing skills. Skills are going to become very, very important, and specialist skills. And what we're seeing is the beauty of this cloud analytics means that this data can become available across the globe. It can become available to people sitting up here who potentially are OEM suppliers or specialists in their field. They can have a look at that data, consult and make recommendations back to companies. We see this down here. We work with SKF, for example. SKF have people sitting up here across the other side of the globe. They look at this data that's produced from site, perhaps a vibration sensor or so forth, and they can have a look at their machine and they can benchmark it against other typical operations or machines around the world. So they can come back to the customer here and say, listen, you should be operating at 86% efficiency, and we need to have a look at why you're not doing that. So we can have some real-time feedback to these customers and really make some changes to their plants. The other interesting thing is up here is that's a picture of the Honeywell App Store, but as I said, what we're seeing now is a lot of change up here, because now what we're seeing is apps coming onto mobile devices to run plants. I've actually seen apps, SCADA systems, which are based on iPads, which is quite interesting, and it's quite a big shift. Let's have a look at what this looks like. I've put together, I've pulled up a really simple use case here to understand how this works. So what we see here is we did a project with Flowserve. Honeywell provided the internet framework, and what we see here is we have a customer site, secure data going up to the cloud. We can do a lot of modelling in the cloud. We can do a lot of process simulation and modelling without actually affecting the actual operation on site. We have some expert support from Flowserve, who then can analyse this data and make actions and recommendations back to the customer. In this particular case, this was a refinery. The customer wanted to maximise their performance and uptime, and the typical return that these guys are getting is about $10 million a year. So a great example of what we can see or achieve by bringing this technology together. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go with that one. Now, I want to just talk to you about the future of work a little bit. Come back to the topic at hand, I guess. This is how we're seeing some of the changes today in roles in mining companies and oil and gas companies. This is a typical operator that might operate a mine site. The important things to see here is what we're seeing here is some of the changes. So if we have a look at this area here, part of his role is online cost control. We're seeing a dramatic change to that. Operators are moving away from actually having to be hands-on and making decisions on how they're going to be operating the plant, and they're moving to areas where they're going to be providing cost control and more quality control of output of plants. Similarly, we can see the same sort of thing with a maintenance operator. This is a direct result of the changes and us being able to do predictive maintenance on plants through the Industrial Internet of Things. We can see here where a maintenance operator or a technician would normally be involved with spending a lot of his time doing repairs on site. We can see that that's dropped off, and he's now involved with analysing production problems. What we're doing here is we're utilising the skill sets, and we're getting more value out of our people, okay, through the use of technology.
Excuse me, the rain's getting really bad. Can you just step back a bit more?
Oh, sorry. Yep, no problems at all.
Have you got a mic on?
No, we're getting too much feedback, so we've turned it right off, or right down, so still getting the feedback.
So I'll try and talk up a bit. I'm suffering with a little bit of a cold. So what we can see is, I'll put this, there's a report here by the WEF, and this is the forecast of where the industrial internet's going. So what we can see here is we can see a shift from products to outcome-based services. This is going to have a huge impact on the way we look at our jobs and our future of jobs. So we're going to have businesses now who are going to be competing not on a product basis or a value proposition. We're going to be having companies competing on measurable results to customers. Okay, this could be guaranteed machine uptimes or energy savings or production output. I think one of our speakers this morning alluded to that as well. This is something Honeywell's already doing. We already have service contracts where we guarantee performance uptimes, for example. So this is something that's happening already. So we're seeing that this growth, this industrial internet and this drive in productivity is going to be presenting new opportunities for people to upgrade their skills. A lot of the customers we talk to, a lot of the people that we talk to about business, they see this growing use of digital labour, it's called, in the sense of smart sensors and intelligent assistants and robots even. We're seeing lower skilled jobs will be replaced by machines, and we see the industrial internet is going to actually drive obviously new high skilled jobs that didn't exist before. So we're going to actually see these new skills take hold, and we're actually going to see that we're going to be relying on smart machines to actually help us with our job training, which is something that's going to be quite a change for the industry. Okay, so where are these jobs? What are they? Okay, these are the top 5 jobs that we see coming out of this change in this new technology direction. Interestingly, the industrial data scientist obviously number one. These are the guys that are going to be doing the analysis. These are the guys that need to have domain knowledge. They need to have coding skills. Harvard Business Review called the data scientist the sexiest job of the 21st century. So we're seeing geeks become sexy. Okay. So looking ahead, we can see that all these top 5 are IT related. We can see now this internet mindset coming into jobs within mining and resources sector that we're working in. We can see that the dramatic increase in the IT component of these jobs where there was no IT requirement in the past. Machine operators now, who typically used to control levers and push buttons, are now going to have to work hands-on with intelligent systems. Okay, a massive change. We see classic engineering moving to an IT-related work, and we can see that there's going to be a growth and a need for high qualifications right through all these new roles. The war for talent that's coming related to these 5 jobs here, we're going to see a shortage of these qualified people, and certainly this is where the high wages and the high salaries are going to be coming from. So getting back to someone else's comment this morning, these are the areas that I'm telling my son to start studying in. All right. So going back to, I guess, where I started with the Google Map analogy with the phone, if we relate that to what the industrial Internet of Things is all about, you know, my data from my phone is saved in the cloud. It's big data. Google's analysing millions of data points from me, where I'm going, what I'm doing, what restaurants I've gone to, what apps I'm downloading. It's taking that analysis. They've got data scientists working in the background, creating these algorithms to analyse my information. It is making my life easier, and it's certainly reducing my costs because I don't need to buy street directories anymore. So it's all good. So I'll leave you with that. I will just say, if you want some more information, I have a few copies of these excerpts for Control Magazine that talks a lot about the industrial Internet of Things. And if you want to pass me on your cards, I can certainly email you some more information if you need some. So thank you very much.